ACT, SAT, GMAT. If you say these acronyms around a group of 10 to 18-year-old students, you are absolutely going to be met with a bunch of eye rolls and groans. This is because these acronyms, they're not cool slang texting terms, but they're acronyms for standardized tests. Standardized testing is a huge part of the United States education system, and today I would like to present the negative effects of high-stakes standardized testing, including the mental health toll that it brings on students, how it doesn't accurately represent a student's intellect, and finally, the impact that it brings on teachers and the education system. I've had my fair share of taking a standardized test, and the earliest memory I can recall is in 5th grade. We were all gathered into the lunchroom as a student body, and we were told that we couldn't go to middle school unless we performed very well on these standardized tests. That's a lot of pressure to put on a 10-year-old kid. I remember feeling very anxious and even queasy up to the test. Fast forward to my junior year of high school, when I'm taking the SAT. About 30 minutes into the test, a student starts breathing heavily, and then he slams his pencil down, crumples up his paper, and shouts a word that I probably should not say in this speech. He was having a full-on panic attack, and unfortunately, this is not as uncommon as you might think. According to the National Center of Education Statistics, almost 80% of students answered that in some way they feel anxious leading up to the test. Additionally, from that 80%, 20% feel that their daily routine is impacted because of how anxious they are. I think it's safe to conclude that if a student can't even go throughout their day normally, their test-taking ability is absolutely going to be impaired. Anaya comments in the book, The Test, Why Our Schools Are So Obsessed with Standardized Testing, But You Don't Have to Be, says that particularly in elementary schools, days leading up to the test, there are reports of throwing up, crying, staying home, having nightmares, and other unusual behaviors of students acting out. Stephanie Schneider, a teacher and an active member of the Educators Network for Social Justice, says that this in the New Internationalist Journal article titled, "All Exams Are Bad for Children," quote, "The most powerful evidence that tests harm children is the numerous parents, teachers, and students coming forth saying how much the tests are damaging them," close quote. After all, this anxiety, what are the tests even really testing? In April 2024, journal Counterpunch, an article titled "The Zombie Test and the SAT, Is the SAT Back from the Dead?" points out that the ACT and SAT is biased against women, people of color, and other minorities. Additionally, it's also worth noting that schools that pull from lower income areas also are shown to do worse on standardized tests. Also, students with learning disabilities have it even harder when it comes to testing. Things like the intense time limit and the rigorous reading comprehension that is needed to comprehend reading tests is just not fair to them. The National Center of Education Statistics show that only 36% of students excel on reading tests with a disability, as opposed to the 76% of students who don't have a disability that excel. The website standardizedtestsprocon.org states that grade point average is a much better indicator of college success rather than standardized testing by about 5 times. This is because GPA factors in a wide range of skills and behaviors that just aren't measured on standardized tests. Standardized testing is largely using a multiple choice format, and it does not measure collaborative thinking, creativity, problem solving, or other crucial skills that are needed in just about every American job. While standardized tests were intended to level the playing field for students, I believe that they've morphed into this cookie-cutter, one-size-fits-all program that just shouldn't be the case. Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences says that human intelligence can be divided into spatial, visual, musical, logical, interpersonal, and finally, body kinesthetic. I must say, the last time that I took the SAT, I was not measured on all of these intelligences. And to think that this is a big part of a student's hopes and dreams going to a certain university, something's not right. Finally, let's consider the high stakes of standardized testing and how it impacts teachers and the education system. In the 2016 movie, Middle School, The Worst Years of My Life, It's a film about a group of students who have to take a standardized test called the BLAR. In several scenes, there's the principal who has to correct the main teacher of how he should be teaching to the test rather than using his creative skills and getting through to the students in a way that might not seem practical. Unfortunately, this is all too uncommon in our classrooms today. In an article by Jenny Berkheyer, the Nation's March 2022 issue, titled "Why Teachers Are Dropping Out," she mentions that many teachers are leaving for reasons of pay, burnout, increased responsibility, and also testing. Quote, "They feel like they have no voice in what happens in the classroom and have no say in policy implementations." Close quote. Now, you might be thinking, there's got to be some good to come out of standardized testing, and you would be absolutely correct. For example, in the case of the SAT, it's a great way to compare how various school districts are doing and compare it on a state level on how their education systems are performing. I propose a solution to where we should use the SAT as a mark for college admissions, but it should not be this make or break gatekeeping decision and how it might impact a student's hopes and dreams for the future. But don't take my word for it. Take the man who invented standardized testing, Frederick J. Kelly, who said, quote, "These tests are too crude to be used and should be abandoned," close quote. The high-stakes standardized testing has shown that there are some negative impacts, including the mental health toll on students, how it doesn't accurately represent a student's intellect, and finally, the impact that it has on the teachers. So the next time you hear ACT, SAT, or GMAS, I hope you consider these compelling reasons why you should be opposed to standardized testing. Thank you.